Big news, everyone! Toyota has just revealed the all-new 2023 Sequoia. And the reason I say that this is big news is because it means that this is the first time in 16 years, I can't believe I'm saying that, in 16 years that Toyota has completely redesigned the Sequoia. And it's even bigger news because with Toyota canceling the Land Cruiser in the North American market, a decision that was worse than the time the Trojans let in that big wooden horse, it means that the Sequoia is going to be asked to do a lot of the heavy lifting that the Land Cruiser has traditionally done in Toyota's lineup. So in this video, I'll show you what the new Sequoia looks like. I'll walk you through some of the interesting details of the new Sequoia, and we'll talk about some of the specs and changes from the outgoing model based on the information that Toyota has divulged so far. And because this channel is dedicated to all things overlanding, I'm going to discuss whether I believe this new Sequoia can fill the Land Cruiser's Shaquille O'Neal size shoes, and whether it looks to be a promising platform for overland travel. So let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right into it, and let's start by showing some of the pictures that Toyota just released. And I'm not going to mess around. I'm just going to show you all the TRD Pro trim because it just looks the best, frankly. I think it looks badass. I mean, I know styling is always subjective, but I really like what Toyota did here. I really like the general front end design. It definitely has a very Tundra feel to it with the headlight design and the general front end design. But I like what Toyota did with the grille here. It seems just a little bit more restrained in that massive atrocity that is the Tundra grille. They've managed to integrate the light bar in with the TRD Pro version. To me, that grille really looks like kind of the love child between the current generation Tacoma and the new Tundra. And so overall, I really do like it, and I'm pretty impressed. As far as the rear profile goes, I would say that I might be a little less enthused about this angle, but overall, I still think it looks pretty good, pretty clean, not too terribly overstyled, at least in my opinion. And as far as the side profile goes, I must say I do like kind of these character lines or these flared fenders or whatever we want to call them over the wheel arches. They look pretty good as well. All right, so now that we know what the new Sequoia looks like, let's spend a few minutes diving into some of the interesting specs and some of the differences between the current generation. And let's start with the powertrain. And it's okay to shed a tear, my friends, because the V8 is gone. It was bound to happen. It's gone from the Tundra. It's gone from the 300 series Land Cruiser. And if we're being honest, a big V8 that gets somewhere around 15 miles per gallon on a good day really just isn't going to cut it, and probably was one of the biggest drawbacks of the current generation Sequoia. This is an area where things get really interesting, and honestly, I was shocked when I learned that Toyota is just going straight to the iForce Max as their default powertrain. So the iForce Max powertrain is optional in the Tundra, and it is a twin turbo V6 hybrid that makes 437 horsepower and 583 pound-feet of torque. So I know I was just bemoaning the loss of the V8, but when you consider the fact that the old Sequoia V8 made 381 horsepower and 401 pound-feet of torque, this represents a massive increase. And while we don't have EPA mileage ratings yet, I would anticipate that this iForce Max powertrain should be over 20 miles per gallon, maybe closer to 25, who knows, maybe even north of that. So pretty cool stuff. Another good piece of news here is that the new Sequoia will get a 10-speed automatic transmission, replacing the aging 6-speed in the current Sequoia, which would really help bring the Sequoia more in line with a lot of its competitors. Yeah, the V8's gone, and yeah, that's a bummer, but if it's going to be replaced by an engine that is much more fuel efficient while still delivering similar or potentially even more power, I really don't think we have too much to complain about there. So now let's move on and let's talk a little bit about the platform that the new Sequoia is going to be riding on. And there's more good news here, because as more and more automakers migrate over to unibody construction, thankfully the Sequoia will remain body on frame. In fact, it'll use Toyota's latest TNGA architecture, which debuted in the 300 series Land Cruiser, which we don't get, and also underpins the brand new Toyota Tundra. And so this is great because it pretty much guarantees a strong and durable platform for off-road use. And there is even more good news here because this Sequoia will have a solid rear axle. So for anyone looking to take it off-road or use it as an overland rig, this should come as really welcome news. In addition to that, it also looks like this new Sequoia will have substantially higher towing ability. Looks like up to 9,000 pounds versus the 7,400 pounds that the previous Sequoia was rated to tow. So again, good news all around here. All right, so next let's walk through some of the new tech and some of the new features that we should see in this new Sequoia. And as to be expected, the interior of the new Sequoia is a much more modern looking place to be. Again, as I mentioned earlier, it had been 16 years since Toyota had done a complete redesign, so no surprise to see a much more modern interior. I should note this shot is of the Capstone, which is the highest end model. Obviously, not every model Sequoia will look maybe this nice, but one of the big things that jumps out right away is the available 14-inch touchscreen, which has been praised in the Tundra and I'm sure will be fantastic in this application as well. You can also get a panoramic roof as an option, which for people who are into panoramic roofs, I guess that's pretty cool. I'm not a huge fan myself. Of course, there's still massive amounts of seating, a third row that has a ton of adjustability and can fold down and do all kinds of things that I honestly haven't really dove into yet. And then finally, let's talk about off-road goodies. This is a big upgrade from the previous Sequoia. And I say that because there are some big items here. One, a rear locker, a selectable rear locker. I mean, how cool is that? Plus, they have the multi-terrain select system, Toyota's crawl control, and a lot of things that have popped up on other Toyota models, but never made it to the previous generation Sequoia. So all in all, this looks like a much more off-road capable Sequoia than we've ever had before, which is super exciting. All right, so now we know a little bit about what the Sequoia looks like. We've had a chance to dive into some of the features, talk about some of the interesting specs, at least based on what we know so far from what Toyota has revealed. So now I want to throw it back to a question that I posed at the beginning of this video, which was, can this new Sequoia fill the shoes of the Land Cruiser in the US market? And I want to preface this by saying that yes, I do recognize that the LX600 is a thing, and I do realize that that is probably as close as we're going to get in the United States to a true Land Cruiser. I own an LX470 myself, and so I totally get the whole Lexus is a Toyota Land Cruiser underneath thing. But the LX600 is also prohibitively expensive for most people. I really just can't see too many people buying an LX600 with the intent of taking it overlanding or off-roading. I guess if we're being honest with ourselves, not too many people were buying new 200 series Land Cruisers for that either. It has, whether we like it or not, become a complete luxury machine. The other thing to factor in here is that, at least for me personally, I can't see a lot of Land Cruiser, traditional Land Cruiser buyers wanting something as flashy as the LX600 is. Part of the charm of the Land Cruiser was that it was stealth. It was a super nice vehicle that just kind of blended in. And so I think a lot of the traditional Land Cruiser buyers, I think Toyota is hoping that they're going to be able to entice them with this new Sequoia. As far as whether or not I think the new Sequoia will make a good platform for overlanding, honestly, I think there's a lot of really great potential here. It's still a body-on-frame vehicle. It's still got a low-range transfer case. It has a ton of room, which is an important consideration when you're overlanding, especially for people who have larger families, want to bring maybe some pets along with them, and just need a ton of space for people and for gear. Also, it should be able to tow very well. So if you're towing a travel trailer, the Sequoia should be a good platform for that as well. Also seems to have some good off-road tech potentially coming as well. And with that TRD Pro package with the Fox shocks, I mean, that's pretty impressive. And so ultimately, I think that the Sequoia looks to be a very promising platform for overlanding. So, do I think that this new Sequoia can replace the Toyota Land Cruiser? No, absolutely not. Nothing can replace the legend that is the Toyota Land Cruiser. And as good as this Sequoia may be, the absence of the Land Cruiser in the North American market is just really sad, to be honest with you. I don't know what you want, Toyota. Do you want us to beg you? Do you want us to beg you for the Land Cruiser? Because we'll do it. Like, I'll do it, man. Like, I miss you. Come back. I miss you so much. So ridiculous. Anyway, now that I have lost any shred of self-respect I may have had at the beginning of this video, I think we're going to wrap things up here. I am genuinely excited for the new Sequoia. I'm excited to see what happens when people are able to get it out and drive it and take it off-road. But I think it's very promising. And so if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. It really helps out the channel, helps it spread to more people on YouTube, and it helps me know if I should make more content like this in the future. So thanks for watching. I appreciate y'all. Until next time.